Hey guys, Noel here, and it is Friday night, and before I go to bed, and after a long week of teaching, I thought it would be fun to do a video game review for the video game section of the YouTube channel. This review might be a little on the controversial side, because I may be sharing some opinions that others may not agree with, but nevertheless, let's have a fun review. Tonight, we are going to be reviewing the fourth in the Nintendo 64 Aki Asmic wrestling game series, and really the fifth in the Aki Asmic 3D wrestling game series in the United States, and that is WWF No Mercy. This game is widely considered to be the greatest wrestling game of all time. I beg to differ. Let's actually sit down and play it, and we'll discuss my opinions. So without further ado, let's get down to playing some WWF No Mercy on the Nintendo 64. So, let's set up our camera like so. I'll hit the lights, and we'll have some fun. So, let's start off with our attract mode here. Now, WWF No Mercy is not by no means a bad wrestling game. It's actually an amazing wrestling game. It is filled with smooth gameplay, a lot of options, and a deep, creative player. That said, aesthetically speaking, at least for my taste, this game is definitely, again, for my taste, the least engaging of the Aki Asmic wrestling games. And, part of my bias may very well be because I am a WCW fan, and I grew up with WCW versus the World, and WCW versus NWO World Tour, and WCW NWO Revenge. And I really liked the look and feel of those games, and down to the graphics, down to the music. And I really do think that, actually, with each new entry in the Aki Asmic wrestling games, the music actually got worse and began to lose its Japanese charm. If you listen to the soundtrack to WCW versus the World, at least for my taste, it's very much in line with what I like. A lot of kind of synth pop with guitar riffs in it. Very kind of energetic music. And I would argue that the music in these games becomes, I think, a bit more generic and a bit more dull. And I think it really kind of culminates with this game. Graphically speaking, this game definitely is nice to look at, no question about it, but again, I think we're starting to get into that period of things look less blocky, but you could argue that they look a bit awkward. And again, that's not really... not saying that this looks bad, but even compared to a game like WWF WrestleMania, I actually preferred the way that the graphics and the color palette in WWF WrestleMania 2000 looked compared to this game. And the reason I talk about WWF WrestleMania 2000 is because even though I'm a WCW fan, I really like that game. I like WrestleMania 2000 better than No Mercy for one reason, because I prefer the opening. Even though I'm not a big Stone Cold Steve Austin fan, that opening where Steve Austin is, going through the Ministry of Darkness storyline was really, really well done. And I actually, even though WCW versus NWO Revenge I prefer as a game, I actually think the opening to WrestleMania 2000 was better executed, even though I think the roster of wrestlers is not as good in terms of my taste compared to the WCW wrestling games. But again, that's just me. So here's our options here, and I don't know how all these are showing up on the camera. We have Exhibition, Royal Rumble, Pay-Per-View, King of the Ring, Referee, Ladder Match, Iron Man Match. Ladder Match can be quite fun, but one thing about this game that I find a bit annoying is the matches seem to go very long, and I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but let's take a look at this right here. This is our championship storyline mode, And just playing through this, there is a Royal Rumble that literally goes for 30 men, and it just was going on. I put on like Seinfeld because I felt like it was just dragging too much. So let's do an exhibition match here. We'll do a single match, and we'll have some fun playing at Raw's War. Then the thing is, in that storyline after that, we were going up against Vince McMahon's character in a cage match, and that match was taking forever. And and maybe like I haven't played this game as much as the other Aki Asma games, so it's very well that I'm just not used to some certain game mechanics. But it just seems like matches can kind of drag on this, and the music not being as good as the other games, in my opinion, doesn't really help. But we do have all the roster of wrestlers from WWF in the year 2000, when it really was in its heyday. WCW was unfortunately going through a whole bunch of corporate problems, internal strife, and WWF had essentially succeeded in combining ECW's attitude with the NWO style, kind of apocalyptic, edgy, badass style, coupled with Vince McMahon's unique way of marketing all of these things, and it really had propelled WWF to being far and away the number one wrestling company in the United States. So let's actually do a match here. I've just scrolled through our roster, and there's actually more wrestlers you can unlock. You can unlock wrestlers like Shawn Michaels by accumulating money, playing the story mode, which is cool. But I don't know. Call me weird, but I just liked how the old ladder. I liked how the kind of more arcade mode, winning the belts worked in games like WCW versus NWO World Tour or WCW versus the World. Will be probably my favorite wrestler in this game versus one of my least favorite wrestlers, although I do have some good deal of respect for him, Steve Austin. And let's get a match going here. Now, one thing I do like about this game and WWF WrestleMania 2000 is the fact that they are able to include Titantrons in this game, but the entrances actually seem a bit shorter in this game than in WrestleMania 2000, but nevertheless, they are pretty cool. And by pretty cool, I mean they're cool. So here's Stone Cold, who I always felt was kind of a cheap character who went for more of the cheap pops. I'm going to flip people off and blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, he certainly did have a disgruntled working class ethos that made him very appealing. And Steve Austin is a talented wrestler who was able to really build upon his serial killer gimmick, coupled with his disgruntled Gen Xer, WCW, wronged Alanis Morissette style person in ECW to form this kind of beer swilling, Jerry Springer style, redneck badass character. You certainly can't argue with his success or the power of his performance, but I always thought his character was pretty shallow compared to Hollywood Hogan's or Sting's, who were people who, really seemed more organically to deal with the ironies of culture and wrestling fans. And, the story between Hulk Hogan and Sting was, masterfully and beautifully told, how you had the sidekick being betrayed by the hero leader, and becoming the dark savior of WCW, while Hulk Hogan had completely inverted from being the ultimate hero to the ultimate villain. I don't know, I thought that was a lot better than, Vince McMahon saying, to this, Jerry Springer tough guy, like, "You're ruining my Mike Tyson pay-per-view," I don't know. I prefer WCW. But I'm rambling on. So we see here, the gameplay is quite good. There's no question about it. This game is great, even though it is my least favorite of the of the games, and for a lot of people that's blasphemy. But I don't know. That's my opinion. The gameplay is essentially identical to its previous entries. Very responsive, very smooth. Sometimes, and it might just be my imagination, it may feel a little bit slower. But that, like for this match right now, everything is super responsive. That slowdown may have to do with some of the format of the matches. But again, we do actually have more options. We can bring weapons into the ring. We can actually run backstage. Let's see if we can actually do that right now. We'll pull a weapon from the crowd here. Come on, Austin. Come at me. Come on. See, the crowd has got a little bit more detail on him. I mean, definitely, Aki and Asmik did a beautiful job with their wrestling games, and you could always tell they always tried to up their game and add new features and new forms of depth. The creative player in this game is also got a lot of variety to it. I haven't done as much with the creative player. I haven't really done anything with the creative player on this game compared to WrestleMania 2000. But I did, so you could argue that, maybe I should play the game a little bit more. But I mean, I have played this game a decent amount. And I have spent the least amount of time with this game, and for whatever reason, it's just not registering with me as much as WrestleMania 2000. I don't know if it's the music, I don't know if it's the graphics, I don't know if it's the fact that I think that everyone makes a big deal out of this game when I prefer its predecessors. But now we got a run-in happening right here, which is pretty cool. So who is this? This looks like, is this Bulldog? No, that's Triple H. I don't know, why is Triple H helping Steve Austin? I mean, if I recall at this time, Triple H was a bad guy in DX. And I don't know, I was more of a WCW fan at this time, but I don't really remember there being an alliance with DX and Stone Cold. If that happened, please correct me. Incidentally, DX's Run DMC song around this time was fantastic. I wish they actually included that in this game. But I'm not even sure if Triple H was technically in DX, because he's got in this game, because he's got the game theme. So I don't know. I ramble on. So we'll see if we can actually go backstage. We just should get an announce table. I think we can actually interact with here. Let's see if I can suplex him through this here. I know we have an announce table here. Let's see if we can climb on this. Yep. So this is definitely a new and fun feature we've got here. More things we can interact with. I mean, you got to understand, though, like, for people who enjoyed the WWF at this time, and this was, like, their big era of wrestling, it's completely understandable why they consider this to be the greatest wrestling game of all time. I just tend to prefer, the 95, 96, 97, 98 WCW, and then peripherally enjoy the WWF. That was more of the kind of wrestling fan that I was and still am. So, I mean, I will once in a while watch quote-unquote Attitude Era clips on YouTube, but, like, nothing compared to the kinds of WCW clips that I watch. And, really, when you look at the peak of both companies, I mean, it's not an accident that WCW, when NWO came over to the WWF, those guys just totally went over on The Rock and Steve Austin just instantaneously, because they're better characters and their storylines were better. And if you compare WCW in its heyday to WWF in its heyday, yes, WWF had more mainstream success, but WCW was the special, beautiful, magical company that really was responsible for the grittier turn to professional wrestling, but also just I think the quality of the storylines in general were better, and the caliber of the athletes were better too. And by that I mean they were just generally better performers. It's like, yeah, Steve Austin might be a Dave Meltzer darling, but I mean, Hulk Hogan's got better ring psychology and a better I think he's got a better legacy than Steve Austin. I quite frankly, I think Sting is better than Steve Austin too. But I know these aren't popular opinions, but they are what they are. So, can we run back here? I guess not. All right, come on. So this is, I mean, I don't know. We've got a decent. Here's another example. I'm about to quit this match here just so we can see more in the game, but this is just an example of how the matches, I think, tend to kind of drag a little bit in this game. Well, here we go. We'll go for a pin. Everybody's going to get a rope break. Nope. No, we win. There we go. I mean, no, they have done some adjustments to the way that faces look on this game to try to make them look a little more natural. And certainly the resolution on this game is very nice. It's got some very high resolution. And it's nice to hear the wrestlers' theme music when they win as well. So, by no means is this game not good. But do I consider it the best wrestling game of all time? No. Let's do a little bit of continuing on our story mode here to wrap up our video. And so now we're on Chapter 3 here. Now, after going through a grueling Royal Rumble that I basically made it to the top 10 and then lost interest and started watching an episode of Seinfeld in one eye and playing the Royal Rumble in another, now we see our story mode happening, which is new to this game. And Vince McMahon is here talking about how he screwed me out of the Royal Rumble, and, now I'm going to come out here, and we're going to engage in some banter and have a steel cage match. The storyline is pretty fast-moving, so that's good. It's fast-moving but engaging, and these kinds of cutscenes are definitely enjoyable. I'm someone who likes story, but I don't know. I'm also someone who just liked being able to go through and say, "Hey, go beat the WCW League, and now you get the Macho Man," kind of thing. Actually, you got you didn't get Macho Man. Who did you get? Diamond Dallas Page in World Tour. Got Macho Man from beating the NWO League, which had the sold-out ring, which was awesome. Jericho's WWF stuff was fantastic, though. But he was funny. I thought he was funnier in WCW, but his entrance and his packaging in WWF was nothing short of masterful. That Titantron with, the stripper girl and the countdown to Millennium is just really, really good. That's the one truly original thing that I think WWF had that its competitors didn't was that Titantron. That really stood out. So now we have this cage match going here, and again, I've actually got the difficulty down quite low on this, but it's actually pretty hard, and you could argue that adds to replay value, and maybe it very well does. But you could also add that this is actually just a bit difficult, and I don't know. I'm used to just kind of leisurely playing these Aki Asmic games. This can feel a little cheap, actually, but we'll just see how we do here. See right there, just went for a grapple, and I'm getting owned right here. And it's not like I'm an unskilled player at this here. Or I don't know. Judge my skills for yourself. You tell me. That wasn't very good at all, but I just kind of messed up right there. Let's see if we can get him in a hold here. Now, again, if you don't know, I know we're like 18, 19 minutes into this review, and I haven't even talked about game mechanics, but we have our grapple mode here. So our A button is grapple. We hold it down, and we can hit either A, B, or one of the C directions to do a different move. Our analog button will allow us to do our crowd taunt, which will boost our spirit meter at the bottom, or our attitude meter. One thing I really don't like is Earl Hebner, and we're in the WCW games, they had Pee Wee Reese as the referee, and in WrestleMania 2000 they had Earl Hebner as the cartoon referee. That's gone in this game, which is kind of annoying, unless I'm missing something that you can unlock in the SmackDown Mall or whatever, but yeah. Now, one thing, again, and I'm probably just missing something, but I find climbing the cages on this game, again, kind of, like, difficult. Like, I'll get to the top of the cage and it won't let me climb over. It's like, tap the C button, and I'm doing it, but then I don't seem to be doing it enough, and I keep losing to Vince McMahon in here, but I don't know. If you hold down your B button, you can do big haymaker punches, and your shoulder buttons will allow you to block, which is nice. And block and counter. Throw them into the ropes and do another grapple for a smooth attack like that. And when you get your opponent down to the floor, you can do submission grappling. But yeah, I mean, if you watch reviews and listen to fans, everyone says this is the best wrestling game ever, and certainly I think it has the most, it has the most depth, basically, in terms of the most stuff that you can do. But in terms of its packaging, I don't know. I find it kind of dull and not as engaging as its predecessors. So, but that's totally my personal preference. I mean, and you can completely disagree with that, and I'm sure you do. But, I mean, honestly, if we're talking style, I think Versus the World is the best of these. And then World Tour and then Revenge. Actually, WrestleMania 2000 and Revenge I would tie. And then this I would put last. Now, let's see if I can get to the top here. No, I'm not going to be able to. But we'll see. So watch, I'm going to get to the top. Now this is cool. You can kind of rock the cage. But I'm tapping the button to climb, and I'm not being able to get over. And as the cage gets rocked, I lose my spirit meter, which is then going to allow Vince to be able to get up to the top of it. And, I mean, it's worth noting, they made Vince McMahon insanely tough in this game, so. Kick a man when he's down here. Incidentally, like, if we're comparing, like, evil boss characters, I don't know. I don't know if I like Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon's more like an 80s movie bad guy. Eric Bischoff's character was more of a plot twist. The fact that the head of the WCW company had joined the NWO. I'm going to lose here. Maybe I can rock him down. No! Maybe I can catch him. No, I'm going to lose. Yeah, I lost. Alright. Yeah, there you go. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that is WCW, not WCW, I wish it was WCW. This is WWF No Mercy for the Nintendo 64, a high quality wrestling game that, I don't know, just doesn't quite connect with me like the other wrestling games on the Nintendo 64 or on the Sony PlayStation. But sorry for the long review, but hopefully you enjoyed my thoughts, enjoyed seeing me slog through this classic, and I still highly recommend this game, though. Definitely pick it up and add it to your collection. Until next time, guys, my name's Noel. You take care. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.